Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Bean here, and today I'm coming at you with my December wrap-up for 2021. So the wrap-up for the end of last year. And I didn't do half bad. I read several of the books on the TBR that I had. Okay, a couple, maybe like 3 or 2. And I also managed to read a tome. So I read a big book last month, which was very exciting. And I also managed to read 10 books. So that was pretty exciting for me. But without any further ado, I'm going to hop right into the stats. All right. As far as the stats go, like I said, I read 10 books this month. 3 of them I physically owned. 1 I physically borrowed. 1 was an ebook, and 5 were audiobooks. So pretty widespread, but I am leaning more towards listening to audiobooks lately just because of work and because I have a 40-minute drive to and from my job. So means audiobooks just make sense right now. As far as book ratings, I had a good month, a great month actually. I had 5 5-star reviews, 3 4.5-star reviews, 1 4-star review, and 1 2-star review. As far as pages read, I didn't do the math because I forgot to do the math. So this is the total number of pages I read, which is a pretty cool number because I read a very long book as well this month. But 3 of the books I read were under 200 pages. 3 of them were between 201 and 300 pages. 2 were between 301 and 400 pages. 1 was between 401 and 500 pages, and then 1 was over 600 pages long. The longest book I read was 848 pages, and the shortest book was 144 pages. For author statistics, 5 of the authors were from the US, 3 were from the UK or Ireland, 1's from Japan, and 1 I honestly didn't know where they were from. So rather than guessing or assuming, I just put down unknown. So, and as far as gender goes, 1 author was male and the other 9 were females. Yeah. For genre, 8 of these books were fiction, with 1 fantasy, 2 mystery, 1 magical realism, 3 romance, and 1 adventure book. There were 2 nonfiction books. 1 is a true crime, and 1 was a science book. As far as age group goes, 7 were adult books, and 3 were YA books. So I did have a pretty heavy one-way kind of spread this year, or this past month, but that also kind of makes sense to me, so. All right, let's hop right into the books because I don't actually have a lot of time to film today, but the first book that I read this month was Spy X Family Volume 5. This series is going so well in my head. I absolutely am loving it. So far there are 6 volumes, so I just have 1 more to catch up on. And the 7th one, I believe, comes out in April. And not only that, but I recently learned that there is a TV show coming out for this manga, and there's going to be an anime, and I am so excited. I watched the trailer. I loved it. The trailer really made this sound like a very serious show, which maybe the show will be. The manga's hilarious, so I'm so pumped for that. This follows a spy named Twilight. This is not Twilight. It follows a spy named Twilight who is tasked with infiltrating a preparatory school for children, and in order to do that, he needs a daughter and a wife, or a child and a wife. So he goes and he finds a daughter who happens to be psychic. He doesn't know this, and then ends up finding a wife who happens to be an assassin. And so it's all about them stumbling into trying to be a family when none of them have any idea what a family is. And it's so cute, but it's also very, intense at points because they are spies and assassins, and she is psychic, so she's, 5 years old and knowing about all this stuff. And it's very well done, in my opinion. I highly recommend this series to anyone. So, yeah. I think this one got a 5 out of 5. It wasn't my favorite volume so far of the series, but it was still up there as obviously one of the top 5 because it's the 5th one that I've read. But it's still going really strong for me here. The next book that I read was actually a reread, and that was I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer by Michelle McNamara. This is a true crime story about a woman who obsessively searched for the Golden State Killer. I listen to the audiobook every time I listen to it, or every time I've read it. I really love the audiobook. The thing about this, Michelle McNamara unfortunately died before they discovered who the Golden State Killer was, but her husband kind of continued her work on doing the research, and he's the one who actually ended up publishing her book. And so this book is more almost about her research rather than the Golden State Killer herself, because she didn't want this to be about him. In fact, they don't mention his name for like half the book, and she doesn't want that to be the focus. She wanted it to be focused on his victims. And so I think that this book is amazing. If you want to try true crime at all, I recommend this. It is dark because it is true crime, but I think it's so well done. For those of you who don't know, the Golden State Killer started out as a rapist in California and just ended up graduating to murder, and it became very dramatic, and it was very traumatic for many of his victims. There are many trigger warnings in this book because rape, murder, assault, lots of these women ended up surviving, or these couples ended up surviving, or they'd end up, you're traumatized for life for this. So this is a very serious book, but I think it was so well done and very thoughtful and very open and honest about what happened. So highly recommend. But again, trigger warnings for that one. Next, to lighten up the mood, I listened to a quick little audiobook called What the Hex by Alexis Daria, and this was kind of my delve into romance this month. Oh my gosh, this book was adorable. I absolutely loved it. Sped through it. It's a magical realism story that follows Kat, who is going back home after she has left this island of Isla Bruja, so Island of the Witch, which is a magical island that can only be seen by the members of these witch families. And she goes back home for her sister's wedding, only to find that there is something wrong, and her sister's groom is possessed by a demon. And so she's like, not good. She ends up having to team up with her old school rival, and she soon realizes her current crush, who they competed for everything in school, and they have to work together to try and exorcise this demon. And it is the cutest story ever. I love it. I think it is great. There is a little bit of smut in there, not much, but it was so cute. I love this story, and I will definitely be reading more of Alexis Daria in the future, especially after this book, just because it was so much fun and I loved it. And I do think it helps that I speak Spanish, so I was able to, it felt so realistic, and I loved it, so. The next book I read was another nonfiction, kind of switched back and forth a little bit this month, and this one I read Fuzz, When Nature Breaks the Law by Mary Roach. This is a new release. It just came out in September of 2021, and this is all about literally when nature breaks the law. So what happens if, an animal breaks a law? So, when bears come and they attack, if a bear happens to attack a human, or a moose happens to attack a human, what happens to that animal? What are the consequences? And it's so interesting because it goes all the way down to squirrels and, breaking and entering for raccoons and stuff. And it's so interesting because I never really thought about it. I mean, I haven't thought about it to this degree. Yes, I live in a state where we do a lot of hunting, and I've seen black bears around. I see deer almost on a daily basis. I've seen coyotes. I haven't seen wolves. I'm not that far north. But I never really thought about the consequences or what happens if a animal does break a law. What happens to that animal? And I never thought about the fact that humans wanted to be killed, even though we're the ones who technically invaded their territory. It's a whole thing, and it's a very interesting argument that is interesting arguments, because she doesn't really pick a side. Mary Roach, actually, she kind of outlines everything that she's learned, and it's also in different countries. So she goes over to India, she goes to Africa, and in India she actually learns about the elephants and like some of the things that have happened. Like elephants run people over on a daily basis. Like this is a thing, which I never thought about because I live in the United States. And yeah, so it's so interesting, and it's about stuff that I never thought about. So I recommend this book. It's a little dense and a little fact heavy. It's a lot of information, but I still think it was very interesting and very well done. It got a 4 out of 5 from me. All right. The next book I read, I still can't believe I actually read it. I read Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. Unpopular opinion, I did not like this book. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Like, this book, I did not like it. There was zero plot to this story, and it was just porn. Blue alien porn is what this is. And for some people, that's what you want. If I read a romance or even like some sort of erotic, I'd like a plot at least, but there's no plot here. Won her over with sex. I'm sorry, just no. Not my thing. I will not be continuing with this series. I read it and I immediately was like, all right, I need something new, like something to scrub my brain with, because no, I did not like that. Not my thing. I know other people love this series. It's not my thing. I need a plot, apparently, in any sort of romance that I read, and this one did not have it, so it go away now. 2 out of 5. The next book that I read, I absolutely loved, and that was Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Now, this book, if you have not picked it up yet, if you love fantasy, and love a good, solid romance, but, business comes first, read this one, because this is an amazing story. There are like 5 different timelines, or 5 different storylines that you're following, so it gets a little bit all over the place at times, but it's so well done that I didn't mind. This book is intense, and honestly, it reads kind of like a duology. Like, I do believe that it could have been a duology, and it wouldn't have been so overwhelming for people, but I also am really glad, because that means I didn't have to wait for a sequel. So I got the entire story in one, because it is a standalone. But this is a sapphic fantasy romance adventure war story that follows a queendom and several other and follows 2 separate continents, the East and the West, one that worships dragons and one that hunts them. And it basically is the story of these 2 nations and how they are realizing that their world is coming to an end, and they need to step up and they need to fix it. And so it is so well done. It is very intense at points, but I cannot recommend this book enough, honestly. I don't want to say too much because spoilers, but it is so well done. You guys really need to read this book. All right, the next book that I read was Elephants Can Remember, which is book number, I believe, 40 in the Hercule Poirot series by Agatha Christie. But I'm not positive if it's 40 or not, because like I've gotten mixed comments on it. Like, depending on where you look, depends on what number it is, and it's very confusing. But anyways, basically this is when Hercule Poirot is asked to investigate a murder that doesn't have a body. So a woman's body is found off a cliff, and her husband are dead, and they've been shot dead, but everyone thinks it was a murder-suicide pact or something of the sort, except for their daughter. And so Hercule Poirot goes in and tries to figure out what actually happened. I thought this was well done. It wasn't my favorite of the Hercule Poirot series stories, but it still, again, was well done and did have an ending that I didn't see coming. And so this one got a 4.5 out of 5. Next book that I read, and last one that I owned, because apparently I didn't read any books that I owned in December. I only read 3, okay. And that is Once More Upon a Time by Roshani Chokshi. This is a really cute short little story about a prince and a princess who get married, and then she falls sick almost immediately, like a day after or something ridiculous like that. and basically he gives up their love in order to save her. And so a year and a day later, they come back together and they go on a mission in order to get that love back. But think about it, they don't love each other. Neither of them know what love is or seem to know what love is. And it's really cute. There's a badger in it, so that's cute. He's a weird badger, but it's a badger. There's a cloak that thinks he's a horse, and it's kind of a weird story, but I thought it was really cute, and I did give it a 4 out of 5. It's a very quick afternoon read. Like, it took me like 2 hours, basically. And the only reason it took me so long was because I was working while I was reading. So, I was able to read at the desk. It was great. It was a very quiet day. But, yeah, that's about... This one's cute. I recommend it. I think it's a cute little story. But, yeah, so, recommended. Definitely. 4 out of 5. Yellow books apparently is my theme this month. I don't know why, but it is. All right, almost there. 2 books left. The next book that I read was Poirot's Early Cases, 18 Hercule Poirot Mysteries. I believe this is the last book. There's one more in the series. It had 18 different stories about Hercule Poirot, 1 or 2 of which I had heard before, but the majority of which I hadn't heard, and they were very original. They were very fun, very interesting, and overall good stories. So again, this got a 4 out of 5 from me. It was well done. I enjoyed it. Yeah, that's about it. And the last book that I read in 2021, actually, was Raven, the first book in the Teen Titans graphic novel series by Kami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo. This was a very interesting story. I really enjoyed this. For those who are wondering, this is not canon to the comics, but it is a very, very well done story, and I really enjoyed it. This follows Raven as she goes through a bunch of memory loss, and she ends up in high school trying to figure out who she is and who she can trust, and this, that, and the other thing. It's well done. I love the art style. I also have read Beast Boy since then, and that one is also very cute. The next one is Beast Boy Loves Raven, which I think is going to be great, and I believe the 4th one that's supposed to come out either this year or next year is about Damian Wayne, so one of the Robins. The 4th Robin, technically. Well, 4th of the main Robins. Not going to get into that. But yeah, overall, this was a really well done story. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good read and would definitely recommend if you enjoy comics and or graphic novels in a contemporary sort of magical realism setting. So, yeah. That's what I got for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little choppy. My phone is being stupid and I need to get a camera. I was hoping to get one for Christmas, didn't. So I'm making financial plans to get one. And yeah, but that's what I got for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, now is the perfect time to give it a thumbs up and do hit that subscribe button. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasional Sundays. And if you want to be reminded when we post these videos, please hit the little bell icon down below. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!